What food do you swear people only pretend to like? Chitterlings. My mom-in-law made some at my house, and it smelled like a grown man speeped it all over my home and walls. Speepterlings. Jelly deals. Looks disgusting. Probably tastes bad too. Almost every video on YouTube with someone eating jelly deals shows them squinting while they chew on it. The food I cook for them. That feeling of pure anxiety and the little voice telling you that they're lying. Carol. An Icelandic dish made by taking a piece of shark meat and burying it underground to ferment it for up to 12 weeks. It has a smell of ammonia, red urine, and the consistency of cream cheese. I highly doubt that anyone likes this, but it has to be done because fresh shark meat is poisonous and fermenting it is the only way of getting rid of the toxins. Edit 1. Change the wording a bit. Edit 2. Holy speep. Didn't think this would blow up my inbox. I'm pretty sure that is what Gordon Ramsay gives James May in this video. Gordon spits it out, yet James manages to keep it down. You disappoint me, Ramsay. You want me to do it again? I don't know. I'm just some fat bastard that likes all food. Food. Get in my belly. Chitlins in African American culture. You boil the literal feces out of pig intestines so you can eat them. My mother told me they make the whole house smell terrible for a day or two. Slaves ate this because those were the cuts of the pig that would get thrown out by the master, and people were just happy to have meat and got what they could. My mother always told me it made zero sense to her because if our ancestors, I'm a black woman, knew that we had the choice to go right up to a deli and pay with our own money, because that's an option now for the nicest cuts of any animal we want, and not pay much, especially for pork, and that we kept buying and eating and cooking chitlins instead, they'd roll in their graves, lol. I mean, sure, some people might actually like them, but that's a hard pass for me. I'll choose Chick-fil-A nuggets over pig guts. Thanks. Edit. For clarity, there is absolutely nothing wrong or backwards with eating chitlins, and I sincerely apologize if my post came off that way. It is absolutely a part of my culture, and I can understand why people eat something their parents ate, and what their parents' ate. All sorts of things are acquired tastes like coffee and boiled eggs. I'm simply saying that shaming people for not liking something just because it is tradition to like it isn't cool. Edit 2. Let me clarify. 1. Chitlins apparently do not tend to have feces or much of it in them by the time you boil them. You remove all of that before you actually put them into the pot. 2. I have never actually had chitlins, mainly for the pretense of what they are and what was previously in them. So I feel like it is somewhat unfair with me saying what I have without mentioning that I still have no intention of trying them. However, live octopus. Does eating a creature that's actively trying to crawl out of your mouth as you eat it really taste so good that it's worth the trouble and choking hazard? Yeah, this would not be for me. I'm not even that excited about octopus that's already dead. I might be willing to murder my own chocolate cake in an emergency, but octopus? Do you know any good methods to hunting chocolate cake? I keep following their trails to the underbrush, but when I look there's nothing there. I'd consider trapping, except the game warden told me there would be a risk of accidentally catching a black forest cake, and I don't want to harm any endangered species. You need to catch them early in their life cycle. If your nose is functional, you can smell your way to where they are born. You need to catch them within an hour or two of that moment or you'll never get them. Beware that chocolate cakes that have been born within the last 5 minutes do have some defensive trays. You'll want to wait until that first window passes. You eat cupcakes? They haven't even had a chance to live. This is why the rest of us can't find cakes. You eat them all before they have a chance to breed. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you. That's a very ignorant comment, sir. Cupcakes around here are considered pests, feeding off the fresh ingredients needed by farmers to hand rear their own cakes. If we just let them breed, the cakes would suffer because of it. Don't stop the cupcake kakaliver smitterasindine. Great. Another deranged rant from an obvious graduate of the CIA. Cupcake Institute of America. You pastry farmers are destroying the cake habitat in the name of progress. Sure, I can walk into any Kroger's in America and buy a red velvet cake. But at what cost? People don't know where their ladyfingers come from anymore, and just expect to buy them at any time of the year, not just when they are in season. They watch the Food Network and think it's ethical to eat cupcakes of all things. Meanwhile, the muffins are on the brink of extinction. Those god-awful people ripping the tops off them then throwing the bottoms to the ground to bleed out and die. I heard some deranged poachers tried to dump the mutilated carcasses at a homeless shelter once in a sick gesture of kindness. Absolutely f***ing barbaric. You all just talking about cakes, cupcakes and muffins. But what about pies? They are so rare you can only find them in salt habitats and they require less maintenance than cakes or cupcakes. They were nearly hunted to extinction by those damn Petarians and their stupid diets. Remember, $1 a day keeps the Petarian at bay. Friend, I think you misspeak. Not Petarian. Petariat. We are working man. Pie is easy to care for, easy to raise. As you say, require less maintenance. We not have much. But we have pie. Pie is life and part of world where we have little. Pie is survival. Petariat liberty. I have a theory that just about every culture has one food that is absolutely terrible, but was born out of poverty and necessity and became a staple and is still made, even though there are better options available. Because it's this. Because if it were good, other cultures would absorb it. By being bad, it stays true to its cultural roots. The youngest generation hates it and doesn't understand why people ever ate this. The middle generation still doesn't like it, but eats it out of respect for tradition. The oldest generation loves it and relishes lecturing the youngest generation about why this food was made and why it's a tradition. Like lutefisk from Norway. Cod preserved in lye. A gummy tasteless mess. But beloved. Lutefisk. Oh lutefisk. How fragrant your aroma. Lutefisk. Oh lutefisk. You put me in a coma. You smell so strong. You look like glue. You taste just like an overshoe. But lutefisk. Come Saturday. I think I eat you anyway. I thought I was the only person who knew Stan Borson and Aug Zetterberg. Surströmming i.e. fermented herring. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this to comment to get this much attention. FWIW. I live in Sweden and I've both smelled and tasted it. The smell is indeed very bad. And yes, you should open the can underwater so it doesn't squirt everywhere. I'm originally from the US and didn't expect it to be a taste I was used to. And sometimes it's okay with synap mustard / I'm sorry to say it's really just not my jam. And this comes from someone who loves blue crabs, scallops, oysters and most anything that's considered seafood. I had surströmming in Sweden a couple of years ago. The smell was intense. They had to open it in the garden on a tree stump covered in plastic, and I'd been up until 4 in the morning drinking vast quantities of boxed wine. I couldn't back out, because it felt rude, but I wasn't looking forward to it. However, wrapped in some soft bread wrap, with boiled potatoes and onions, washed down with a restorative Prips BL, it actually wasn't that bad. The smell is something else, but the taste was just very fishy. Shark fin soup. I mean, I get that it is seen as a mark of status, but it tastes of nothing and is just generally a bad dish. I thought it was delicious as a kid. Family is Chinese, obviously. I had absolutely no idea of the cruelty of it and thought it was just like any meat as any child would. The shark fin itself doesn't add much, but the actual soup is really nice if done well. Do not condone eating it though. The soup is delicious. The shark's fin literally has no flavor, just a hard noodly texture. That's why it likely became a delicacy. Tons of fancy Chinese food is more texture than flavor itself. Bird's nest, sea cucumber, and jellyfish all have little flavor, but have pretty intense textures. Shark fin is a texture food more than flavor. Fancy Chinese food is a real emotional roller coaster. On one hand, you got Peking duck. On the other, you got peeping sea cucumber. Sea cucumber honestly isn't too bad, haha. And I love jellyfish. But you're right. Chinese food is often about texture, and it can also be heavily about health properties. The stuff sold in restaurants in Western countries is really just the yummy portion. The amount of borderline inedible traditional dishes I've had to have at home is crazy. It is also about sauce. A lot of dishes rely on sauce to give the dish flavor. Chinese cooking is a peculiar thing not well understood or known about by many Westerners. Natto. A Japanese dish of fermented soybeans. With a taste, texture and smell that makes you wish human senses did not exist. Edit. So the consensus seems to be natto is great if you've eaten it your whole life and are used to it. You cover it in things that don't taste awful. Very compelling case, but I think I'll stick with things that aren't natto. Came here to say natto. My wife loves it. She orders it every time we get Japanese food, which is at least once a week, and every time I try it again, just to see if I'll enjoy it this time. Nope. Ballot. I don't understand how cracking open an eggshell to eat a half-formed duck embryo is appealing to anyone. It's really not that bad until you realize the textures involved. Really just tastes like an egg. And the duck fetus is so soft that's not even an issue really. It's just that it tastes so much like a normal egg, and then you feel clumps, that your brain is like, oh no, what's that? It's like eating a burger or something, and having a weird chunk in it. Just not what you expect, and then it makes you remember what it looked like. Instant puke. You know what else tastes just like eggs, and doesn't have weird clumps in it? Eggs. Edit. Thanks for the silver. I think you may have just made a breakthrough. Edible gold. Like. Why? It's not there for the taste. It's a FPP to the poor people. It's not even expensive. Some sites sell 50 sheets for like 11. Even poor people sometimes want to say FPP to the other poor people.